Hi, y'all. How are you doing? So, just go with it. Smile. I'm going to smile. Be yourself and all that. Awesome. Let's see. We've got Alan to the north, Lee Greenwood, Jay Sekulow. Miss anyone?
Yes, sir.
And here, okay. Somebody else. Okay. All right. Here we go. Yeah. Well, we're outside the Freedom Fest, and it went really well. What a privilege it was to be here with so many people. And Terry and I are just delighted to be here in support of our troops and our first responders. Governor Palin did a great job. Governor Allen, who's a dear friend, did a great job. Lieutenant Colonel North, a fellow Marine, so proud of him and the good work that he's doing across the country to support our troops. Lee Greenwood, of course, always a wonderful performer. And Jay Sekulow, another good friend with American Center for Law and Justice, did a great job just outlining the challenges that we face with the current administration and where they're taking our country with Speaker Pelosi. Everybody had a good time tonight, but there's one person who is not here tonight who really completely misunderstands what this event and, frankly, what the conservative movement is all about. And that person is our freshman incumbent, Glenn Nye. This is a news article from the Virginia News Source, and here's what he said. This was reported by the Virginia News Source, and he spoke just yesterday, and this is what he said. He said, Nye called the ODU appearance, that's this meeting that we're here tonight, a meeting based on hate. And, you know, he misunderstands exactly what this is about, but maybe he got just a little bit of it. You know, there is something that we hate. You know, what we hate is the massive overspending the federal deficit, where we're having to borrow 43% of what's being spent. Yeah, indeed, we do hate that, because we love our children and we love our grandchildren, and we don't want to leave them that kind of legacy of debt. You know, we also hate what's happening in the Gulf. Our environment and our economy down there is just being ravaged, and that's because of an inept federal response. So, yeah, we do hate those kind of things. Our freshman incumbent goes on to say this: we don't need that kind of intolerance, that kind of hate-driven activity here in Hampton Roads. And he's referring to Freedom Fest, where we honored our military men and women, both active duty and retired, and any veteran, and our first responders. So he says we don't need that kind of intolerance. Well, you know, the only thing we have a real intolerance against is this democratic agenda of growing government at the expense of personal liberty. We are intolerant of leadership that is indecisive and ineffective. You know, the night that we had the health care bill vote, it was a Sunday evening, and we love new media and Team Ridgel, don't we? We like new media? Yeah. And so I'm sitting there on our couch with Terry and had my laptop, and this was, I think, a sad day in our American journey when that bill was passed. And Congressman Nye had just, I think, a day or two before, after all of that debate, he took that long to make his decision, and this is a real pattern with him. So here's what I wrote on Facebook. I said, have you noticed a disturbing trend with our freshman incumbent, Glenn Nye? He waits until the last minute to say what his position is on any major piece of legislation, any controversial piece of legislation, because he says he's undecided. You know, a person who's undecided, by definition, is unable to lead, unable to persuade others. You won't see Congressman Nye on the House floor making an impassioned speech about anything, because he doesn't know what he himself believes. That's not the kind of leadership that we want. It's not the kind of leadership that we can afford to have right now when America is at this defining moment. And I finished my post with this. I said, it is no coincidence that clarity comes to Congressman Nye at or near the same time that clarity comes to Speaker Pelosi on the vote count. I'm convinced of this. The voters of the 2nd Congressional District are convinced of this, and that's why our principle-driven, idea-driven campaign to bring fiscal accountability, to create jobs here in Hampton Roads and across the Eastern Shore, and to change Congress rather than having Congress change me. That's what our campaign's all about, friends, our friends on Facebook, thank you so much for standing with us. We got through one gate, and we're going to get through this next one on November the 2nd. Thanks so much. That'll work.
Perfect. Nice job.
How are you, sir?
Doing well, how are you?
Good. Okay. Chris Dillard.